Everybody knows defense is what wins championships, and in this video, I'm going to break down the biggest things that I've done over the years to build great defenses that have helped me win tens of thousands of dollars playing competitive Madden and playing competitive College Football 25. Now, this video is going to be a little bit more advanced, but it's going to be based on concepts that you'll be able to use right now and every single year for the rest of your video game football lives. So the idea of becoming a better player, winning more games is something you want to do. I think this video is going to be for you. So let's get into it. Blitzing is probably the biggest thing when it comes to defense, because the fact of the matter is, if you're going up against a high-powered offense, you need to be able to get pressure on the quarterback. That's one of the biggest ways that you're going to be able to win that turnover battle. So there's honestly about 3 different ways that you can blitz in College Football 25 that's going to work at a very high level. Now, I'm going to break down all 3 of these here for you in this segment. And we're working out of the 3-3-5 tight defensive playbook. The teams that run this playbook, you can see on the screen right here. And we're just going to work from it, okay? So right now, I'm going to go into the dime 2-3 odd. And we're going to go call a play called cover 4 quarters, okay? The important thing on this play is that we have a blitzing linebacker stock, all right? So we have this guy stock. The first style of blitzing we're going to do is called loop blitzing. This right here is essentially where you get a linebacker or somebody to loop around the formation. Now right here you see Trotter. He's going to try attacking this right side, but it could be a loop that starts right here and attacks around the edge too. There's some blitzes that are like that, okay? Keep in mind, you can do this from a lot of formations, some different plays, different playbooks. I'm just using this as an example, and you kind of see that loop right there. That's good pressure. Now this can get blocked. There's different things that can come from this. And of course, coverage-wise, you have to put coverage behind it. We're not focusing on that right now. We're just purely looking at the loop. And you can kind of get the idea of why this is hard for the offensive line to block, okay? Now, if you wanted to, you could do a loop, and you could do a little bit of, like, edge pressure too right here, okay? So a little bit like double whammy, where, boom, you're getting that loop. And, of course, when I do that, it gets blocked. But you get the idea. So number 1 is loop blitzing, and all I'm doing is moving this guy over here. Another example of loop blitzing is out of a play called, where is this? Where is it? Edge Blitz 3. And I don't know if this is going to work right here, but you get the idea where, look at what my right middle linebacker does here, Trotter. He's going to try looping around that right edge, and he actually comes free. That's another version of loop blitzing still from the play Edge Blitz 3. Again, you do this from a bunch of playbooks, a bunch of formations, etc., etc. So that is style number 1. Let's talk about blitzing number 2, which is actually kind of new this year, and I call it engage blitzing, all right? So engage blitzing is the idea of you're blitzing somebody, he's coming straight down. So if we look at Bizer right here, he's coming straight down. And then we're going to get our user right here on top of that area that he's blitzing to. And, oh, did I call a run play an accident? Whoops. And why is the player? Okay. We're going to push the left stick down. We're going to engage right here and then peel off. And the idea is that he's going to come free up this gap. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that whenever you're sending a 4-man blitz, it could get picked up just because they have, they could be blitzing 5 people, 6 people, etc., etc. It's good to mix in different blitzes, and it's good to, at times, mix in the amount of people you're sending. So let's go here again, engage, bail out, and there's a good example of that blitz working. Now, you saw A was a touchdown on that play. So, of course, you'd have to make coverage adjustments behind this to potentially take that away. Something I might do is I like cover 4 shells quite a bit to help against the seams. But this is, shoot, I don't know why I accidentally picked a run play to come out in. But that's the idea of engage blitzing, right? So let's do it again right here. Let's go here, okay. Engage, bail out, and you see that guy comes free. Now, one bad thing about this style of blitzing is that your user is engaging, so it's harder to user in the middle of the field, which is something that we're going to talk about later. So now we have loop blitzing, we have engage blitzing, we also have the idea of overload blitzing, okay? This is something you'll see in things like 3-3 double mug, you might see it in 3-4 odd, and this idea is purely just overloading the offensive line with potential threats and numbers. So, to give an example, we'll use mid blitz, because this is like what everybody always sees, mid blitz 0, okay? And, we'll go user this high safety. A big reason this blitz works is because if I get my safety in the box right here, as an offensive lineman, you have to respect me, right? Because if the ball snapped, I could technically blitz. So you have to respect me. So with that being said, let's count how many potential blitzers we have on this play. We have, starting from the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And with my user, right? So we have 6 across the line. My user makes 7. If they only blitz 6 people and one of the offensive linemen picks up my user or accounts for my user, I have somebody coming free. We can actually see that kind of... Oh, we could have seen that right there. We didn't end up actually doing it well. That's fair. But that's the idea of overload blitzing, okay? Let's see if we can actually... We're going to blitz 6. I'm only blitzing... I'm only blitzing 6. And you kind of see right there the halfback goes inside looking for my user, and we get pressure coming off the edge. That's one of the big things of overload blitzing, is just that manipulation of the offensive line. And this is a real life concept too, by the way. This is not like this isn't like even glitching AI. This is very much a real thing. 3-4 odd, kind of same idea. We have 6 people potentially blitzing, plus my user makes 7. And so, we do something like this, and there's potential for that blitz to come free. Now, with that being said, overload blitzing can be scary because there's so many people blitzing where if the pressure does not come in, you're screwed. So you need to make sure you're running something that is getting good pressure. 3-4 odd, pinch buck 0 is a good play right here. Stand near the line of scrimmage, right? And dang, we're not actually getting that pressure to come in, but you'll also shed really fast too, which is nice. Let's see if I can get this to... I'm just kind of winging this pressure right here. Let's see if we can... You might hover. Yeah, that's a good example. Notice that halfback right there. He goes all the way in with me. So let's watch him again. I'm going to kind of like loop to the left. Boom. Loop a little bit to the left. Halfback goes in with my user. Because if my user's blitzing, my halfback has to get him. Right? But he's not. So I'm able to come free. And this is just one way to kind of... And you literally see him looking for my user. And if I were to... Let's say I blitz with my user right here. Let's say I literally like loop blitzed. Guess who's looking for me? Halfback ends up getting me. But it leaves somebody else open. Right? Having a good blitz is massive in any defensive scheme that you run. And again, I do everything out of the 3-3-5 tight defensive playbook where we have full schemes over on Civil.gg that have some of these awesome blitzes. We have a full 3-3 stack scheme. We have a full 3-3-5 penny scheme, a full 3-3-5 mint scheme. Great blitzes, great coverages behind them. If you want a lot of the legwork taken out for you where you don't have to find all of these things by yourself, you need to check out my website, Civil.gg. Use code CIVIL30 and get a cool 30% off right now. Join over 2,000 active members. 98% of them say they've won more games since joining. So we've talked about blitzes. Now let's work into the idea of coverages and really how to take away some of the stuff that like you'll see a lot of people doing to you on a consistent basis. Now, you can combine the blitzes that we talked about in the first segment with coverages we talk about here, okay? So keep in mind that everything here works together and builds off one another. Now, when it comes to purely coverage, I like to go pick whatever formation, right? We're not really focused. I'm giving you concepts. Use the right stick and go to coverage shell 2. This is going to give you more flexibility than something like a cover 3 shell will, because let me show you an example of why I say that. If we were to use that shell cover 3 and we went to like a cover 2, and right here, it actually just ends up, it ends up actually just sitting in the cover 2 shell anyways. Let's see, can we get an example of that just being super misaligned? Because there are some examples of it. So let's go here, and let's go to a Tampa 2. And yeah, even right here, like it's just, it just ends up being a cover 2 shell anyways, which is a little bit weird, a little bit buggy, those can be. So I just like to go coverage shell 2 on this, okay? Now with that, I really love cover 3 drop and cover 4, okay? From there, you could go cover 3 match, you can go cover 4 palms, whatever it is, but I really like drop coverage. So the first thing to keep in mind is that if you ever call a match play, which is either a cover 3 blitz or a cover 4 play that has a little tag that says match, okay, you see it right here in cover 4 palms. We can see if we scroll down to do cover 4 quarters, you also see that little match tag. This is going to play match coverage, and you can kind of see that here. Watch my zones. Watch how they kind of run all over the place. So, like, they're kind of, like, carrying, right? Almost looks like man coverage. That's match. I don't love this, so what I'll do here is actually just shade my coverage underneath. That's pressing Y or triangle down the right stick. This style is my typical base coverage, either out of cover 3 or out of cover 4. So let's go here again. Notice now how all of my players are going to play essentially their zone, their area, right? They're not so much carrying, they're not so much matching anymore. So that's one thing. I'll explain why I like it out of cover 3 and cover 4, as opposed to, I'm sure some people will say, well, what about cover 2, Civil? Cover 2 is good in its specific situations, especially when you're really trying to defend the middle of the field. My issue with cover 2 in this game can be, it's really a couple of things, okay? So if we go something like this, where I run double drags, okay? So you see we have 2 drag routes on the field right here, and I'm just sitting in cover 2. these cloud flats on the outside, which cover 2 has, they give up so much space to the sideline. And so, or they give up so much space underneath. And my issue with that really comes from the idea that while this is supposed to be a dink and like, bend don't break style of defense, which it can do a good job of, it's almost to me too easy for my opponents to just attack underneath consistently. And I don't love that, right? I don't love just giving them this free yardage. And on top of that, if we look here on the right side, this cover 2 shell can sometimes do a bad job of defending deep too. So cover 2, which has cloud flats on the outside, right? If we look right here, you see cloud flat outside corner, cloud flat outside corner. These guys get stuck into like the in-betweener range where they don't defend underneath super well, but they're also not defending the sideline super well either, right? And we can see that here if we call this play. A is open. We all see A is open, but then so is B. So it's kind of like, what are we even defending? That's like, it almost becomes a useless defender. Now, of course, there is a time and place for cover 2. I think cover 2 is great in the red zone. I think cover 2 is great for like short yardage, like 4th and 1, 4th and 2. Press wire triangle, go underneath on the right stick to get some hard flats out there. And now, obviously there's going to be some stuff open here, but now we're going to defend the underneath. And then, we might have to have a user or something take away a little bit deeper. I like that for 4th and short or red zone or anything like that, where we're really trying to defend the sticks. But that's kind of a quick example of why I don't love cover 2 in the open field a ton. Obviously, there's workarounds. You can make it decent. With that being said, cover 3 or cover 4, I love. And this is going to do a great job of defending underneath, okay? Especially when you press wire triangle down the right stick. My favorite area of the field to make people attack is the intermediate area of the field. And the reason for that is that it's very easy for somebody who's not good at the game to throw that route, right? It's easy to throw a drag route over and over again. It's easy to throw a flat route over and over again, right? But you know what's kind of hard? Something that's kind of hard to do is to throw a corner route. Like, this takes a little bit of skill to throw this, right? To throw this correctly to where you're going to be able to catch it. That takes some skill. And so I very much on defense, if someone's going to score on me, I need them to score because they're a good player, right? And like, you can throw this, and right there's a good example, and it's tough to throw. But I need them to be a good player when they are, when they're moving the ball, right? And so part of being a good player means I'm not giving you easy stuff. I need you to prove that you can dot me. And then from here, we can adjust, right? We can adjust. Let's say they keep on throwing this corner route on me. Okay? Let's say they keep on throwing B. B just keeps on getting open no matter what I do. Well, an easy thing we could do here, coverage-wise, is because we're giving ourselves the ability to, kind of adjust, we could, for example, press A or X, go up on the right stick, and then man this guy up, right? Now, and we have a little bit of misalignment on defense right here. He should be over here. But now, we go to this play that we've been calling, and now, it's much harder to throw this. That's super bagged, right? Especially by the man-up defender. We have some flexibility with that is what I'm getting at. So I think by far the easiest way to run us a base coverage is a cover 3, is a cover 4 shaded down. And remember, you could do that within the confines of a good blitz. Let me prove it to you. Here we go. We're in that cover 3 shaded down. And now I'm going to run that engage blitz. And right there, we end up getting pressure off the other edge instead. So we don't actually get him coming free. I don't know why. But, it's because his blitz angle is kind of bad. Let's go here. We get a decent blitz angle here. Dang, we're not getting it right now. Is that just I don't know why. This is a blitz I run quite a bit. Let's see if we can get it this time. One fun thing to keep in mind is that practice mode can be weird with blitzes. Oh, okay. This time we should get it. The blitz angle is weird. Bang. Get off. Yeah. So now I'm running that cover 3 hard flat with the coverage or with the blitz that I want to run too. So just something to keep in mind that you can run good coverages and blitzes, pair them together. You can do a pretty good job with it, right? We're here. And that time I get a little bit of an edge loop. So there's another style of looping. So just food for thought. Run defense can be very, very hard in College Football 25. It's very hard to tackle people. It's super easy to make people miss. And, it just takes one little, just misclick and someone gets a massive play. But there's a few things that I've done over the past few years that have helped me out a ton in the run defense department. And I'll share those here with you guys. So actually a big thing for me, and this goes against a lot of what people commonly think, but this has been big for me. It's what's worked for me, is choosing a defensive formation with only 3 defensive linemen. Okay, so that could be something like nickel 3-3 stack, or something like nickel, or I'm sorry, 335 mint, which I'll use right here. Now your play call ideally is like a cover 4 or a cover 3. Right here, we'll go cover 3, and I'm going to choose to play inside zone. Now I'm going to go under center defense, run defense here in a little bit. But for shotgun run defense, what I like to do is pinch my defensive line that's left on the D-pad, down the left stick, then left on the D-pad, down the right stick. That's going to slant them inside, okay? What this does is essentially there's going to be a double team between 78 and 68 right here on this guy. And if we look at the offensive blocking, you can kind of see, and actually they don't end up double teaming. 78 just comes downhill. But what that's going to allow us to do is actually do what I call a user loop. Now you have to actually make the tackle. They break it, oh well. But this is one of the best tactics I have for stopping shotgun runs, which is purely trying to loop around with your user. So the way you do this user loop that you see working right here, and we'll go into some other formations in a second, is you want to be on the halfback side. Reason being, a lot, not all, but a lot of shotgun runs go from halfback side across the field. Think about like an inside zone. So something like that. Now you just have to make the tackle. I'm just missing that tackle. If you want to click off, you could. Something like that. So we do this. We hover on this halfback side. Get kind of close to the line of scrimmage. You could be further back if you wanted to be. You could be back here, right? But you're just going to get, I think it's easier to pick you up with your far back. So I like to be close. And then we're going to push our left stick just a little bit to the left pre-snap. So I'm just getting ready. And then boom, we're here. And now I'm able to get across the formation and get involved, okay? So it's not super complex, and this is a good way to just start slowing down the run game, in my opinion. It's something that I've worked on for a while, and it works pretty well. And if we just show this against, let's say, another formation, you'll see it working still pretty well. Let's go with something like wing trips, and we will go inside zone split. Why not? Same idea. Now, who am I going to use her here? What side am I going to use her? Halfback side. So I'm going to actually take this guy, get right here on the halfback side. They call it inside zone split. And you see me again loop around, right? Let's go here to another formation. We'll just go bunch strong offset. This is a pretty popular formation. Inside zone. Same idea. Loop around. And that time we're just able to get numerous guys free. Where this strategy can hurt you quite a bit, and this is where you start learning your opponent's tendencies, is duo runs. Let's try this against a duo really fast. Duo is going to be a little bit more downhill. So we're here. That duo, we loop, but that duo kind of goes right up the middle, which is why I like to crash down so much, because that can help blow up the middle. So we slant inside. You kind of see the middle gets messy, but still, excuse me, still we have that going on. So if someone was to start doing that consistently on me, I would take my user, get a little bit further back, and I would look to come downhill like this and look to blow it up like that. The other thing that can also help in the run defense game is actually calling loop blitzes, because let's just take this for example. This guy Asante is looping to the right, which means he's looping to the right on a blitz. So if I snap this ball, his run defense angle is also going to be going to the right. So that's a cool way you can just get other linebackers involved in the run defense. And remember, you can combine this stuff together, right? We could go cover 3 hard flat with good run defense, right? Maybe like a loop like this, maybe get our user back on that halfback side, something like this, with a good blitz, right? So we're able just to combine some things together, and then it's just about making that tackle right there. Run defense is incredibly hard inside this game. Like it just is. And it's something that I want to get better at. Now, when it comes to under center run defense, I like to take the same idea of using on the side opposite of where I think the run's going to be. And then I really like to get into cover 4 or cover 3 shells. And the reason for this is that these are going to get our safeties involved. So if you hold right trigger and then hold X or B, which would be square or circle on PlayStation, you can see your run fits. And notice my safeties are getting involved. So I'll usually hop on either a safety or I'll bring these guys down. And then I'm going to be on that weak side looking to loop across yet again with the same idea. 3-4 odd obviously is going to be pretty good against this style of thing. But getting your safeties down can make a big difference. So definitely don't overlook that. That's something I'm a big fan of doing. And it helps a ton. Like it really does. Getting your safeties into the box. That'll help against shotgun runs even. Because think about it. These guys are getting involved in the run game. How's this guy going to do a better job? Here or down here? Probably down here, right? So you just click onto them, move them down. And then you're able to really just kind of get there by committee. I think, I used to be a big advocate of just like getting your user involved and being able to do it like that. Nowadays, you have to get your user involved, but I think you almost need like a committee to get after the ball carrier, if that makes sense. But then you're able to make some tackles. Just a basic little rundown of run defense. Run defense is hard. So obviously, red zone, tough place, big place. You gotta be getting some stops, right? If you can hold people to 3 consistently, you're gonna win a lot of games, right? You will buy yourself more and more possessions as they break a tackle. If that happens to you, you suck. But no. So red zone, really in college football 25 video game terms, really starts inside the 10-yard line, okay? I know real life, it's like the 20-yard line, or it is the 20-yard line. Just not as much in video game football. You really start to feel the effects of the red zone inside the 10, and then really inside the 5, which is what we're going to focus on here. Now, this is where we're going to combine some things, okay? There's 2 different strategies in the red zone. There's full coverage, and then there's full blitz. Both have their own time, and they both have like their own place. I'm going to go over kind of both of these ideas right here as I call the wrong play, where I like to get into something a little bit heavier on defense. So something like 3-4 odd, 4-3 even, 6-1, which is inside of some of the 4-3 playbooks. Also another great example here. If you are the type of guy who you want to go full coverage in this situation, I don't hate that, but I love cover 2 in this situation. Tampa 2, cover 2 drop, whatever it might be. And what I actually would recommend you do is do something like this. We're going to immediately press wire triangle down the right stick. That's going to shade everything underneath and get your yellow zones and your outside zones to play closer to the line of scrimmage. They're all going to play very far underneath, which is just going to be really good for defending drags and stuff like that. Now, if we look at this, one thing you can always do in the red zone, especially in college football, that I like is to put a spy on the field. It can be really anybody. It's just I know a lot of people love to try rolling out with their QBs in this situation. So cover 2 in the red zone, shade it underneath is one of my best pieces of advice for the red zone situations. Now, with that being said, run defense stays relatively the same, right? Where we want to kind of pinch that line, crash them down, and then hover on that halfback side or the side opposite of where we're running or where I think they're running, and then be ready for that and look for that loop. And by pressing everything together, you're going to be able to do a good job of just blowing up these runs. You see right here, like, they try pulling a guard. We're actually good. Like, that pinch and slant inside is really, really good. Like, really good. So just something to keep in mind in this situation. You see right here, again, little loop. And even, that's the one thing with this, is that even if your loop doesn't come free, like right there, we kind of get stuck. You have other people here. Like, you're usually opening up somebody else, right? So if we go here again, bang, that loop, we're able to loop and come free. Something to keep in mind right there, okay? The one thing I do want to point out with this coverage is that because you're shading underneath, an area of the field that can be kind of exposed is the back corners of the end zone. Now this is a little bit tougher for people to attack, but absolutely could be attacked. And the way that looked like is something, let's say like this on the right side, where like you see B. Like, B has a little bit of an opening, and he actually ends up agging it, but he has an opening to the top right of the screen. Just something to keep in mind. And if you wanted to, like, re-cloud flat your corners, you could. So, like, something like right there, like, we're kind of putting our corner on an island. So if you wanted to, you could press wire triangle down the right stick, and then take these outside corners and put them in cloud flats. So select them, go down on the left stick. So it looks like this right here. Or double tap wire triangle, select the defensive back, and then go down the left stick like that. That'll also get them in a cloud flat. Just some food for thought, something to keep in mind. Okay, so that's pure coverage. Let's say we wanted to go to a blitz style, which I think is a good idea. I would go 3-4 odd, call something like pinch buck 0. And I'll be honest, I don't love the idea of just going cover 0 in this situation where I just run man coverage. I feel like a lot of people beat this, and you're just going to get like a quick throw that ends up just barely being open. It's kind of annoying. Instead, I would blitz, but I would do something like this where we just have very basic zones in the field. So just like this, right? Because now, if they try passing, they have to throw this ball very fast or they're going to get screamed at, right? So we go something like this, bang. The big thing with this is that you need to get this blitz coming in. So even faster than what I just did. So big thing is just make sure you have a blitz that you feel confident in sending the dogs in this situation. So we go right here. I might, swoop like this. Like that's what you want, where it's like, bang. They don't even have a chance to throw anything, right? So if you're going to blitz, I love this idea right here to get that done. And then you're just looking to get active with your user. And the blitz can do a good job run defense-wise if you follow that loop method. Right there, I didn't loop, and guess what? We didn't do a good job with the blitz. Whereas right here, we do a little bit more of a loop. And it's just like, that's part of the red zone, man. Like, genuinely speaking, that is part of the red zone where if they're able to find low creases, welcome to football, brother. And right, they're actually finding it kind of consistently where maybe I need to pinch and crash down. Now let's try it. And that time, yeah, go back to the fundamentals and you kind of see, yeah, that was nice. Go here again. That's actually super. I wonder if that works against the read option. Let's see. We're overloading that middle. No, it didn't. Interesting. But yeah, that's my take on the red zone. I love cover 2. I love the idea of blitzing and just getting hook curls and then flat zones out there too while sending the dogs. It makes people have to really act fast. So, a topic that not nearly enough people talk about, but is very, very important. We're talking user and we're talking switch stick in this one, okay? So, when it comes to the idea of really both of these things, but user we'll start with. First, let's say we have a base defense that looks something like this. And we want to user one of our middle linebackers as like a base who's ideally in a yellow zone. The reason for this is that if you user somebody who's like in a deep blue and you kind of, let's just say, you make a mistake with your user, you're going to give up a touchdown. Whereas if you user someone in a yellow zone and you make a mistake, let's say, we do this, well, it's not the absolute end of the world because it's just a yellow zone, right? It's not the end of the world. Not great, but not the end of the world. So that's what I want you doing. Then from there, the way I move around typically is all left stick until I get a direction that I want to dedicate myself into. Once that happens, I'll use right trigger. So like, let's say, we see something happening on the right side and I'm like, oh, corner out. I'm gonna hold turbo to get over there. But until I decide where I want to get to, it's all left stick until I see it. Then pre-snap, this is very important, okay? We want to predict. And what I mean by that is we want to look at the offense and kind of predict what they're doing. The same idea is like, okay, if they were to run the ball right now, what direction would they probably run the ball to? Probably to the left, right? Like they'd probably call it inside zone, go to the left. That's a prediction. If they're called pass play, where they want to usually attack. And a very basic idea here is that tight sets, so something like this right here, anything compressed, usually attacks in one of 2 different ways. Usually, they'll go like drags underneath, which is why I love the shade down. That's what I've already said. Usually they'll go like some kind of drags underneath, something like a mesh spot style. And this is really nice because if you run just the base defense I talked about earlier, our user just has to work in the middle of the field. Very, very nice. Or they want to go like corner routes. And you've probably seen this before if someone spams corner routes on you. And so you want to predict this and start guessing because once you see it start happening, you're able to help get over there with your user better. Does that make sense? You're going to be able to stop offensive plays when you start predicting them, and you'll get better and better at predicting, okay? So from this, we know what tight sets want to do, but what do a lot of like a very popular one, 5 wide, right? Everyone hates playing against 5 wide. It's very, very tough sometimes. Well, a big thing with 5 wide is that a lot of people try attacking the seams from this. So if I see 5 wide, you know what I'm saying? Seam, and then I get my user out to the seam. Now, of course, good players will attack in different ways on offense, but on defense is a basic idea, right? So 5 wide spread sets, I like to attack the seams. Tight sets usually gonna be underneath corner routes. And then, there's obviously other things from there. The key, though, is that you're thinking pre-snap, where are they trying to attack? What do I think they're gonna do? And guess what? If you're in the 3rd quarter, they've probably had 2 drives at least by this point. You should have an idea of just what they've been doing to you. And then with that, you're able to start predicting what they're doing, right? If they keep on throwing curls on you. Curl is what you're saying. Now, the next part of this is we're predicting what they're doing, but now where are we weak? Okay? Because here's the thing. If they go double drags right here, I actually don't need to get my user involved in that really at all. Why? Because we have hard flats, we have, these different things. I actually, my user doesn't really need to be that low consistently, at least not for a long time, especially, in this specific situation. So if I know where I'm weak, I also know where I'm strong, which means I know where my user doesn't need to be. There's no reason for me to ever, in this situation, when I have a hard flat on the right side, for my user to end up over here, right? Because why would I already have help here, right? I already have help in that bottom right. Why is my user there? Doesn't make any sense. So if we identify where we're weak, we know where our user needs to be a little bit more. For example, right here, I'm really weak in kind of in the middle seams, left seam and right seam. And so now pre-snap, I know I'm weak there, and I know I have to pay a little bit more attention with that. And from there, if I also combine that with the knowledge of where I think they want to attack, you're able to just know where to go with your user a little bit more, right? And this is something that you'll pick up on more and more and just get better and better and better at. Now, we've talked purely user, but let's talk a little bit about the switch stick mechanic, because this is obviously a big deal. This is something where if you want to get more stops, you want to start switch sticking. If you don't know what switch stick is, quick, very brief rundown, 30 seconds or less, is the idea of when you're on a coverage defender, that's a key rule, on a coverage defender, on a pass play, you can use the right stick and flick it in a different direction or in any direction and select a player in that direction. Now, this is very sensitive in the direction that you flip. So, for example, if I flick up right here, I'm going to go directly up. If I go down to the right, I'm going to go, oh, I actually kind of messed that up. If I go down, I'm going to go down from here. It's all relative to where you are, okay? This can be really helpful for this situation right here, okay? Let's say they're running a corner route to the left side. Okay, this is the play that looks like. I'm in the middle. Oh, shoot. Corner route, corner route, corner route. Look at who my user is now. My user is number 12. I just picked that off. Watch the replay right here, right? We're in the middle, but then we go to number 12 using switch stick. So the way switch stick is really important is kind of the same idea of where are we weak, where do I think they're going to attack, and then when I see that happening, I'm going to switch on to a defender in that area and look to help take that away, right? And that's going to be a huge, huge deal. An easy way to start getting better at switch sticking is just force yourself each play to just build the habit of switch sticking one time. So again, just with the right stick, one time, boom, we'll go to this defender, okay? Now, you can switch stick a lot in one play. You can switch stick a billion times if there's enough time. But from there, you have you start building that habit, and you're starting to understand what you can and can't do, right? Right here, oh, shoot, I'm in the middle, boom. That's a great example of a switch stick, of me seeing a route get open over the middle and me totally jump it. Obviously, we're in practice mode, but that kind of is the overall idea of switch stick and what we're able to do with it. And the reason it's so important is that we're going to be able to stop different routes that people don't think we can stop, but also this is a turnover getting machine. And guess what? Turnovers is how you win football games. That is real life. That is video game football. Getting turnovers, winning that turnover battle makes it so much more likely that you're going to win the game. And then especially if you pair that with some of the other stuff, like getting stops in the red zone. If you get 2 turnovers in a game and then you hold your opponent to 3, on 3 possessions, they only got 3 points. You probably win that game 9 times out of 10 times, typically, as long as you have any semblance of an offense. That's why this is so important. Now, if you got value from this video, if you enjoyed it, consider checking out my website, civil.gg. We have over 2,000 active members right now, and you can use code CIVIL30 to get 30% off everything we're doing. There's almost 200 pieces of content over there, full schemes of offense and defense. When I tell you this stuff works, 98% of our people say they've won more games since joining. I'm very proud of what we've been able to do over there. I'd love to see you take advantage of everything. Link to that is at the top of the description. I appreciate you watching this video. Can't wait to see you over there.